They misinterpret, like you said.
Not necessarily.
A lot of times they misinterpret this information, and they have to go elsewhere. That's where we get into also the media. So teaching doesn't always just have to stop right at the schools. It has to be done by the parents, because we have to watch out for the media as well.
I understand that, but why can't we come together, as a community, teaching through school, and also with the parents stepping up and saying that, I understand that this is the curriculum being taught in school, but this is how, as a family, we would like for you to view sex. 86% of school districts with a sexuality education policy require promotion of abstinence. 51% require that abstinence be taught as the preferred option, but also permit discussion of contraception as an effective means of protecting against unintended pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. I mean, I think it's an unfair statement to say that because sex is being taught in school, that just means that gives kids the green light, go ahead and have sex. That's not necessarily true. I think it arms them with information. I mean, when middle schoolers actually believe that by performing oral sex on somebody, that you can't get a sexually transmitted disease, clearly they're not being informed. Somebody needs to talk to somebody, about what actually occurs when you make these decisions.
Yeah, and to add to that, on those programs, they don't just talk to you about the sex part of it. They also talk to you about the responsibilities that comes with that.
Exactly.
The consequences, like you said, unwanted pregnancies, the STDs. They tell them how to tell them about the emotions that come with that, because not only the sex physical part is the one that's going to be affected, but they're going to be emotionally hurt. And that is going to hurt them the rest of their life, because as a young person, as a young teen, that could be led to something more serious, and not to say suicides and stuff like that, because they'll confuse different feelings for something else that they never felt before in their life. So if they have these programs and they explain to them the different consequences and the responsibility that comes with it, they'll know, okay, well, this is going to happen, or stuff like that. They want you to go. They want you to be thrown into the world not knowing anything about it. Especially for someone who don't have that person in their life that they feel comfortable in talking to them.
And that they even trust to get this information from and take it as word or as, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Let me have an opportunity to speak.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying sex education in school is fine. So there's other problems besides sex. So should school actually have a program also for teenagers that drink? Should school also have a set aside a program for let's say
homosexuality?
Exactly. No. How you should have a sex education for drink driving, drug abuse, careless driving. I mean, just you're taking the responsibility of a parent, whether a parent is a single parent or married or whatnot. It's the parent's responsibility to teach the child abstinence and to explain to the child any questions that he or she might have. It's the parent's responsibility to have that trust with their children or with their child, so that that child will be abstinent, and to have the confidence to talk to the parents to say, okay, I might be ready to have that, and the parent can talk to him, okay, you are ready, let's you and I may go out and buy you or put you on birth control or the necessary things that you will need to take care of yourself. That the school's responsibility is to educate the child on the basic needs of what the child or the children are going to need to prepare them for the future. It's the parent's responsibility to care for the child, to teach them right from wrong, and to have that confidence so that they can speak to one another and shouldn't be embarrassed. Now, let's say sex education, they have a set program in school. Is it going to be credited? Is a child going to have an exam for it? I mean, it's uncalled for. It's unnecessary. I mean, is this going to be a credited class? How many credits is this child going to get?
Oh,
I mean, it's really unnecessary. I think the school should stick to educating the child on the basic needs of what he or she is going to need for their future. It's the parent's responsibility to keep that child and to have that moral support for that child.
And I understand that, but I think that you're getting the impression that if sex education is taught in school, then it's as if then the parents have no say. That's not what we're saying. You say that the school should only be responsible for the things that the child will need, you know, to be a prosperous person in society. How is it that you can think that, you know, that just math or something like that, or English supersedes knowing about puberty and sex? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, in no way are we trying to take that away from the parent. We're just saying that it would be to get the dialogue started with the parent, you know, or even if you don't feel as though your child should be in that class, you can even sign a waiver that says you still have the option of who's going to teach your child about sex. I mean, in no way are we saying that taking the class takes the parent completely out of the equation. That's not necessarily so.
It doesn't take the parent out of the loop, but we believe that these classes need to have evolved a little bit more with times, because times change. Kids are getting into different things nowadays. That is not the same how you and me were back growing up. These kids are being promiscuous at a very early age.
That's the reason why
as old as, but if these programs were so effective, we would not have a 3% increase in these programs ineffectiveness. There's only a 0.1% of abstinence in all these schools. They do pledges for abstinence.
But you can't completely blame that on the sex education curriculum. I mean, the parent needs to step in and say, you know, you're my child. But this is what I want you to see.
The parent
Plus,
knows how it evolves.
you're saying it's unnecessary to have programs such like you mentioned, the drugs and the alcohol, and there's actually programs that are in place for that also. Because all these things that we're talking about, drugs, alcohol, sex, all these things happen in school grounds.
Yeah, right.
So there's programs like I know you heard of DARE and stuff like that. So they gotta address this at an early age and the school system so that they actually know something. They can. A lot of people don't go to their parents and do that. I'm saying a perfect world is great to believe that every parent's gonna do that, but they don't. There's different cultures. There's different ethnic groups. Some cultures don't. It's like a taboo to just talk about sex with a child. They don't. They leave it. They abandon the child on that subject. So for them to have that.
But and then also, Anna. I'm sorry, just one more.
You have 2 minutes to close.
Even let's look at it from this perspective. You have young children. I bet if you went to your child right now, they can tell you someone their age that's pregnant, or someone their age that has a sexually transmitted disease. If you had toddlers. I mean, not if you had toddlers, but if you had middle school age children, or even someone in middle school or someone that's a freshman in high school that's pregnant. I mean, even if you take it away, they have somebody in their classroom that's pregnant. You think they just ate something and they became a pregnant person?
My conclusion: often sexual education in class goes against one's individual's moral, religious beliefs, and many schools do not teach abstinence only, but teach how to intercourse, to have sex safely, whereas many religions and family values stress marriage before intercourse. And that's just the way it should be. It should be the parents speaking to their child before, and I'm saying you're saying, yes, there is there is drug awareness, it's a tip of the ice, like you say, and yes, nowadays they do teach sex, they show a video, but what we're debating here is an actual course, an actual class for the teachers to speak about sex. That is not necessary.
You're closing.
Okay. The best way to help teens prevent sexually transmitted infections and unintended pregnancies is to provide them with comprehensive, medically accurate, age-appropriate information. Recent national polling shows that 73% of all voters, including parents, strongly favor requiring public schools to teach comprehensive sex ed, which includes information about abstinence as well as contraception.
Okay, very good.